Guess he never knew I existed at all.
Well, we all go through crashes like that on teachers or...
Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to another Wired for Music webinar. It's your girl, Anna Marie D. And today I will be your host as we talk about navigating campaigns, ads, and promotions, and all of that good stuff. So if this is your first time tuning into our webinars, welcome. If this isn't your first time, welcome back. We love to see some familiar faces. Make sure to interact with us on the YouTube comments. So just leave a comment and I'll be sure to give you a shout out. Also, if you have any questions around the webinar, then just pop it in the comment box. And of course, I will get to them as soon as I can. You can also interact with us on the socials at Wired for Music LDN, all of that good stuff. Let us know how you're finding the show, how you're finding the webinar. Any tips or any valid information that you found, then just send us a quote and tweet us. And we love to hear how much you guys love the webinars and what you've learned from the webinars. So yes, be interactive. And the weather's out, the sun is shining. I'm right in front of my window. It's very, very hot, so hopefully I don't sweat too much. But I'm very much looking forward to our webinar today. So today we're going to be talking about how to build a great social media ad to help promote your work, whether you're an artist or creative, or if you're running a business. Ads are very, very important. I know if you use Instagram, there is an ad every 5 seconds. If you watch YouTube, if you're not paying for YouTube Pro, then you're going to get ads on every video. So yeah, this is for you, the music people, the creative people. If you're thinking about building your fan base and running campaigns and doing promotions, then this is for you. I'm joined by a very, very special guest from Austria. She is a singer, songwriter, and she has many, many skills, many skills in the music industry, and she'll be sharing her expertise with us. So please welcome Lea G.
Hi everyone. Hi Anna Marie. How are you?
Hi. How are you?
Yeah, good. Thanks. How are you doing?
I am very, very well. Very excited to be talking to you today. So let's just start off with a little bit about you and your career journey. You've got quite an interesting story, so tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah. So hi, I'm Lea G. I'm 21 years old. I kind of started doing music kind of when I was around 6 years old. So I was singing in my school choir and then got into songwriting and playing guitar when I was around 11, 12 years old. And then did like an exchange year in the UK when I was 16 for 10 months and really fell in love with the country and the language and everything. So I knew I'd had to come back, and then kind of figured out that songwriting can actually be a job and that you can make money in the music business. So then moved over to London 2 years ago to study music business at the Notting Hill Academy of Music, which has been really cool. And yeah, my course has just finished basically last month. And I am mostly being an independent artist at the moment. I'm releasing my own music. I did an EP this year, and I'm also on the side coaching other artists to do what I do. So I help them with their social media, content strategies, release plans, just planning everything around their career, teaching them how to produce their own demos, how to cut their videos, how YouTube works, how Instagram works, how everything works basically, and any questions they have, I do my best to answer. So yeah, that's kind of where I've come from and where I'm going, I guess. And I'm really, really excited to be on here today.
Yeah, you've got so many skills, and I guess in today's industry, like and the scene, you kind of have to be a jack of all trades. Especially when you're just starting out, especially if you've got no money or if you've got no support, then it is great to have those skills. So how did you fall into like learning about videos and even songwriting? Like what was the moment for you where you were like, okay, I really like this and I'm going to really apply myself and absorb this?
I think I started songwriting because of Ed Sheeran, because I really I found his music and just got obsessed. Because before that I would only listen to like classical music, and then suddenly I was like, oh my god, there's this ginger dude and he's got like things to the world and people relate so much to it. It's so crazy. So I was like, oh, maybe I can do it. So that's kind of when I started writing. And then I think maybe 5 years down the line, I went to a couple like songwriting retreats and boot camps, and then I kind of figured out that that's what I want to do for the rest of my life. And in terms of like social media and like being an independent artist and having a proper online presence, I think I kind of fell into that when I was around 13, 14, maybe, when I started uploading covers to YouTube, and kind of went from there really, and just taught myself everything, because it's all out there, right? You can if you really want to learn something, you can find it all online. So I never really had anyone in my kind of immediate environment that knew anything about what I was doing, but I was just doing it because I enjoyed it and because it was part of it. If you have no budget and no support and no one can teach you how to do anything, you just got to teach yourself. So yeah, that's kind of about how I felt into it, I guess. But yeah, I've been doing most of it for quite a while now. So
that's usually how it happens. You just kind of realize, oh well, I can do this, or you see someone else doing it and it inspires you, completely inspires you to try your own thing. So I really love that story. So in terms of today, we're talking about campaigns and ads and promotions. How important are campaigns and ads for musicians or just overall creatives today?
I think quite important. I think the most important thing is that you are in touch with your fan base and that you are accessible to people and that you are engaging with them. And the second most important thing is to obviously grow that fan base, because even if you have no fans, you gotta you gotta grow it somehow, right? So ads are just a great way to grow your fan base, engage your fan base as well, because at the moment it's really hard with Instagram. Sometimes, most of your followers don't even see your posts because of the algorithm and stuff like that. So if they haven't previously engaged with your content, it's less likely they actually see your posts. So I think it's just really important to be able to do some ads, because ads then enable you to push that content out to the fans that you've already got, but also to open up to your content to like new audiences, to get new people interested, to get new people to stream your song. And I think it's the same for like any creative. Obviously, I'm talking mostly here from a music standpoint, but everything I say applies to any other creative as well. Like, for example, if you're a photographer and you want to kind of build a bit of a fan base or like a customer base of engaged people, then that's what you should be doing as well, right? You want to find people that want to have your services, and you need to introduce yourself to them, and sometimes people can't find you, so you need to find them and approach them through ads, basically.
So when I've tried to run ads, I find it very, very complicated. Well, especially Facebook. I don't know if maybe it's just me that just doesn't understand how to use the internet, but I just find running ads so complicated, especially going through the Facebook way. Instagram, I guess Instagram is part of Facebook, but Twitter, I've never run an ad on Twitter. So what would you say are the best platforms to run ads on?
I think it's the best platforms to run ads on is the platform where your audience is based, right? So for me as a musician, I know that my audience is like aged 13 to 40 mostly. and therefore I know that most of them will be on TikTok, Instagram, and probably not so much on Facebook or Twitter, right?
Yeah.
Because that's the platforms that most young people use. It depends what your audience is. I personally have never run any ads on Twitter either. I have run ads on TikTok, and I've run them on Instagram and Facebook. And yeah, it's sometimes really, really complicated, especially with Facebook Ads Manager, because they update the whole thing like all the time. So people don't actually figure it out before they change the algorithm. So they just change it so people can't actually get a gist of what they're actually doing, which is sad, but that's how it works, I guess. Otherwise they won't make any money, right? Because everyone will be successful with their campaigns. But yeah, I think the best platform to do ads on is the platform where you know your fan base is based, basically.
And is there a particular formula? I know you said that Facebook, they're always changing the algorithm, so it is really hard to crack the code. But you know, I guess let's say you were releasing a new single. How would you? Is there like a step-by-step process that you would take? So say you might run the first ad 6 weeks ahead of the schedule, ahead of release date, and then maybe 4 weeks. You know, how do we break it down?
Sure. I think when it comes to releasing singles, like music as a musician, it doesn't like you can do a pre-save campaign. That would be the earliest I would do. So that would be a week before release. I don't really believe in it though, because if people don't know you as an artist and they just hear like a short clip, it's very unlikely they will click on the link and enter all their details and actually pre-save it. So I think personally I've found to run a campaign when the single is out way more engaging and stuff with people than having a pre-save campaign or starting before the release, basically, to promote it. Yeah, that's that. Sorry, was there anything else to the question of like
just like, is there like a timeline or
a timeline? Okay, like a process of how you would do
a process of like up to release day.
Sure. I think the most important thing is to think of each of your songs as individual songs and individual products that all appeal to different audiences, right? So, for example, like none of your songs will sound exactly the same. They will have different instruments in it. They will have different messages that appeal to a different fan base or like a different audience of people. So, I think really think about what audience your song will be appealing to mostly, and then really try to target those people and their interests. I think that's the most important step, to think about all of that before you even, think about anything else, like in terms of the ad. And once you've thought about that, I think actually that's something you should think about once the song is produced and you're starting to create content for it, you're starting to get your headshots done or whatever, your artwork shot, your music video shot. Like think about all these things, about what's visually appealing to the audience you're catering for, right? And what people will connect to and what connects to the song. So it's always like a good package. And once you've thought about that and you've got your content and you know what audience you're appealing to, then you can think about how to actually put the ad out there, what platforms to use, when to also do the ad, because there's different times in the day where ads might work better. For example, the weekend is terrible. Like don't do ads on the weekend because people aren't on socials as much. Like do it during the week, and maybe make sure you sometimes on Facebook Ads Manager, actually you can set like time slots of when it's supposed to go live, right? You can't do that on Instagram yet, which I'll show you how to do today. But I think that's good. So think about when your audience is online, when they're probably not going to be online, and stuff like that as well, before you start doing anything like that. And really make sure that all the content that you use for the promo, so like the video that people are going to see if they click on your ad, or just your ad in general, that it really goes with your branding and your imagery and your artistry as an artist as well. Because people need to know who you are just by looking at what you're visually presenting to them, right?
Yeah. So analytics are very, very important. Like analytics and insights are only something that I recently started paying attention to, because I just thought, oh, this is complicated. But literally, I guess on Instagram, it kind of breaks it down for you, and you can see your demographic. You can see the times that they are online and things like that. So is that something you strongly advise other artists to do?
Oh, definitely. I'll show you later when I'll show you how to set up an ad. But once you've run one ad, so that will be your test ad, right? Once you've run that and you've looked into the insights and you've seen how your content, how your promotion has been going, then you can see actually how that one piece of content has been, how your audience basically has been reacting on that one piece of content. And it's really interesting. Like, there's like a whole science behind it of what video clips to use, because the ad will, like, the analytics of the ad will be completely different if you, for example, use like a different clip of the same video. So let's say you have like a 20-second video that's your main ad. If you now split that up into like two 10-second clips, both of those clips will have different audiences, they will appeal to different people, and they will have different results, right? Which is where it gets hard, because then you've got to do your audience sampling, and you have to look at what part of the content appealed to what audience and whether that's the desired result you wanted to get out of it, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, it's really complicated, but if you keep note of what you've been doing, and if you actually sample your audiences and say, for example, like this 10-second clip where I was wearing the dress still, which was this cut of the video, appealed more to, for example, my male audience that was aged, I don't know, 25 to 40. Then this second clip of the video, which was me with the strobe lights, and was appealing more to my female audience aged, I don't know, 30 to like 25 to 30, right? Then you can see what kinds of content actually then really interacts with your audience, and that's where it gets really interesting. That's when you can get into it and actually invest a bit more money, see how you can like replicate that content to kind of create different content that's still kind of similar-ish looking, so it will appeal to the same audience, and that's where you can start experimenting. That's where it gets really interesting.
It does sound super interesting. Like, once you fine tune it and then you can see the patterns and see how your audience responds, I really find that quite interesting.
Yeah, it's really, really interesting.
Yeah. In terms of investing money, you mentioned, people might think that ads are inaccessible or too expensive, but how much would you say you could invest? Well, I learned that you can start maybe at like £2 a day.
Literally, yeah. So basically, when you do your first ad, please don't take a budget of like 100 quid a day or something crazy. Don't ever do that, because in the beginning, it's all about your audience sampling, right? So you just want to test the waters, see who actually is into your music, who your audience actually is, because you might think they are a certain kind of people, but then maybe they're not, and you might just like find out that they're like some other audience, or that you're mostly males want to listen to your music rather than females, or whatever. And in the beginning, yes, £2 a day is like enough, and I would I'm going to go into that later when I show you how it all works as well. But it's just really interesting, because with £2 a day for like, if you, for example, let it run for 2 days, or like you say 5 days, and after 2 days you check what results you're getting, and if you like the results you can leave it running. It is actually really interesting how much you can already have an impact with £2 a day. That's like you can already see who your audience is.
Yeah. And how would you suggest that people convert? So I know that you mentioned earlier that going through the pre-save method, like, people might not initially want to pre-save your music because they're not familiar with you in that way.
Exactly.
What are some of the best tips to convert somebody who's never heard your music, but has been shown an ad, and they might, in that 15 seconds, they really like the song? How do you then convert them so that they follow you or go to your links and listen to your music?
Sure. Well, it's a hard one, I think, because there's like 3 different ways, like, or more than three actually, more than 3 different ways in which you can use your ads. Like, one of them is like website visits. So that means people are actually being transferred to your profile, which I personally think is great for people that liked your song, because they can immediately kind of get a grasp of like who you are as a person, what you've done before and stuff like that. And then from there they might click on the link in the bio and actually listen to the song. Or there's a way of like basically linking your Spotify or your Apple Music or whatever with the content that you're promoting as well, so people directly get led onto Spotify, right? Which is great. And then there's obviously other ways of like just trying to get people to engage with what you're posting as well, which personally for me hasn't worked that well, because people will engage with your content, but some of them won't follow you. So it's kind of a bit useless to just get comments and that was it kind of thing. So if you really want to kind of make sure you are getting a stranger who's not very interested in your music yet into a person who possibly will listen to your music or who will actually stream your song, there's like a whole kind of series of events that has to happen in the meantime, because I think most people won't click on the ad and be like, oh my god, they're so cool, follow you and stream your song for the rest of your life, right? So you've really got to make sure that your profile looks good as well, that your visuals are really strong, that people just get who you are by having one look, because everything's so fast paced these days as well, right? So whatever you show people, usually their attention span is shorter than 7 seconds, which is insane if you think about it. But that's literally how quickly people move on. So you've got to just really make sure everything's very, very, very strong. So people instantly get it. But yeah, it's just a process of, you know, marketing to the same people one, like again and again and again. So if that one person, for example, has looked at your ad, they've gone to your profile and then been like, oh, I don't know, or like, you know, gone out of your profile page again and kept scrolling. That doesn't matter, because Instagram does now know that that person was interested and they are part of your audience. So the next time you launch an ad, it will probably be sent to them again. And this time, if they recognize you, they might go onto your profile and actually follow you that time. So it's just about showing people who you are again and again and again and again until it's like ingrained in their brain. Right?
That's really scary that technology can do that, but I guess beneficial.
Yeah, definitely.
For us. Yeah, we have a question from Kunal who says, how do you see who your audience is if you have to guess the interest groups for your first ads?
I think have a look if you've released music before. Go on Spotify and see. Sometimes in the early stages, Spotify doesn't show you, but sometimes it does if you've had a few thousand streams. Spotify does show you who your audience also listens to. So look at who your audience also listens to on Spotify and look at those artists and see what their audience might be. That's one way. The other way is just look at your analytics on your Instagram, Facebook, whatever social media profiles, because there's analytics in almost every app nowadays, and you can quickly see like when your followers are active, what age they are, what gender they are, all of that stuff, right? So once you figure that out, you can just make a list of different audiences, and you will have slightly different audiences on every social media platform. So just write them down on a piece of paper and be like, okay, Instagram, my audience is mostly female, 60%, for example, male, 40%. They are from age 13 to age 40. They are also into artists like Ed Sheeran, Sigrid, Florence and the Machine, whatever, right? And then if you want to know more about your audience, because the goal of your ads and the goal of knowing your audience is actually knowing what your audience needs, and also what they are into, like what they do in their daily life. The more you know about them, the better. Like if you know that half of your audience is into Ed Sheeran and I don't know, like crocheting, right? That's random. But if you know that, then you can maybe make content that goes
about
exactly
crocheting
with that. And you know, do a crocheting TikTok or whatever, and that will really really resonate with the audience. And yeah, that's actually the most important thing. Also, look at the people that come to your gigs. Look at who they are. In early stages, might just be friends or friends of friends, but that's interesting because you are very connected to them, so you can actually see who they are also listening to, what they're doing in their free time, etc., right? So that's quite good because you can do a bit of audience sampling as well if you know they are really into your music and not just coming because you're friends, right? Yes, like there's so many ways of finding out who your audience is. Another way is also like look at the people that comment on your content and stuff and follow you and like your pictures, just go and stalk them. Like go on their profile, look what they're into, what they're posting, how they speak, who they're connected to, what countries they're from. Like really have a look into that, because it's really interesting, and it really helps with making sure that the content you post and the stuff that you promote as well on your ads goes with your audience's needs and wishes.
Okay, yes. I hope that answered your question for now.
Very
Great. So I know you have a
detailed.
presentation for us. Would you like to go
Yes,
ahead with
I'll
that?
share my screen. Let me see. Right. Okay. Can everyone see my screen?
Mm-mm.
Sure.
Oh, wait. Yes.
Can you see it now? 1 second. I think I just need to go back in here. Right. You can see it now, right?
Yes.
Awesome. Great. So first, I just want to talk about the main steps of what you should be doing when you set up an Instagram ad, what you should think about before you even get started. So firstly, think about the type of content you want to promote. This could be like a photo. You can post, like you can literally promote just a photo on Instagram, which might help, but might not. I've always found that videos are just way more engaging and people like to see that more. Also think about the duration of your clip as well. Usually like 15 seconds is a really good time. So just think about that. Really think about what your content is portraying, whether it goes with your music, what the song is about, and how you can really engage people with the content. Because as I said, time span of someone's attention span is usually less than 7 seconds. And when people scroll, they might not even notice it's an ad these days, because Instagram's doing really well at hiding it or making it look like all the other posts as well, right? So you want to instantly catch their attention. So really think about the actual content you're promoting. Make sure it looks professional, make sure the lighting is good, make sure you're actually saying something that matters with your music, and so on. Another tip here, I've also noticed that the more personable you are and the more you show your face in your ads as well, the better it works, because people can feel a personal connection to you quite quickly, rather than just posting a video or whatever. Then think about what your ad is actually there for. Do you want to send people to your profile? Do you want to send people to your YouTube? Do you want people to stream your song on Spotify? Think about what the purpose of the ad is. And then think about your audience, as we just talked about. Think about who they are, what they're interested in, what their needs are, what other artists they listen to, at what times they are active on social media, what content of yours they've loved the most. You can see on Instagram, for example, when you go to the insights box, you can actually see the the post with the highest engagement, basically. And if you choose that to promote that post, you've already got a much better audience sample, because Instagram is actually taking note of who's been engaging with it, and that's already a good audience sample that you can then use to transfer onto your other posts. And also think about your budget. I would say for your first ad, don't spend more than £10. So spend like £2 per day over 5 days. That's really good enough for the beginning for your first ad. And then as you get more advanced with your social media ads, you can spend more and more money. But have a bit of a budget. Have at least like £100 budget if you really want to do like a proper campaign and actually reach some people. Because obviously, the amount of money you spend on an ad does actually make a big difference, because the more money you spend, the more people Instagram pushes your ads out to, right? And once you've thought about all that, you can get started. Fun times. So first, how you set up Instagram ads is basically, first you will just go into your profile, click on promotions, and then you can either promote your top post, which is your highest engagement post, as I just said earlier on. And if you choose that post, for example, it will just instantly have like a sample audience that is already engaged with it. So that's actually a good way to start if you just want to try it out and see what happens. Or you can choose a post like I show you on this third photo, where you can just choose one of your previous posts and use that. In this case, I use like a 30-second long teaser clip of my music video. Right. And once you've done that and you've chosen your post, which is really, really easy, Instagram really makes it so easy for you to do this. I chose this this kind of explaining you about promotions because it's the easiest way to get into it. Once you've done a few like promotions on Instagram, the app itself, you can then move on to Facebook Market Ads Manager and stuff like that. But yeah, I think it's just good to kind of understand how marketing on social media actually works first before you throw yourself into the more complicated stuff and audience sampling and so on. Right. And this was step 1. So here we go. Step 2, you need to choose a goal. So more profile visits is mostly used to grow your audience. So to send people to your Instagram account so people can see who you are, what you've posted before, and so on and so on. Doing this promotion obviously won't guarantee that people also follow you, but it will give them the opportunity to look at your content and decide for themselves whether they want to follow you. And usually your profile visits will have like a much higher number. You will have a much higher number in profile visits, but sometimes not in followers. But it's still good because people still get kind of like an awareness of the fact that you are out there, which is great because the next time you market to them, they might follow you the second time around, right? Or you could do more website clicks, which is a way to send people to your Spotify profile, or to anything really. If you're a business, if you're a photographer, for example, and you've got a website where you've got like a big portfolio and you just want people to be able to look at your portfolio, like potential clients to be able to see how talented you are and stuff like that, your prices and everything, and that's the best way for you to get new customers, basically, to send them to your website or other things. And then you can also do more messages, which is basically like to grow interaction and engagement with your followers, with your existing ones, but also finding new audiences that want to engage with your content. So yeah, that's the 3 goals you can select. Right. Once you've done that and you've kind of decided that you probably want to just send people to your profile, you can then define your audience. And there's like a few different ways how to do it. So the automatic option is basically like Instagram targeting the audience that they think you will fit well into, right? And they do the work for you by analyzing your content and then making like a sample audience out of your existing audience to promote the content to. This usually is the pricier option. So I don't suggest you try this if you've never done an ad before, because Instagram will just naturally charge you more money for the ads because they will naturally just select expensive countries to market your content to, but also just charge you more in general because obviously they've all done all this research. It's almost like hiring a marketing firm without having a chat with them about who you think your audience is before, right? So I suggest the first time you do an ad, you will create a new audience that will suit your content and the goal of your promotion. And obviously all the audiences that you've created in the past will now be saved, so you can come back to it and use the same audience, but for example use a different type of content with them. So like I talked before about like a 20-second video, if you split it in 2 and one of them does really well and you want to try out the other one with the same audience, you have the possibility to just tap into the audience you've saved here before and just use that. So yeah, that's basically that. You choose that and you choose new audience, and I'll show you how to create a new audience to suit your goal. So basically, first you will have to give your audience a name, right? And just use something that's memorable to the ad, to the type of content you're promoting as well, because in that case, if you have a lot of different audiences. Oh, sorry. What did you say?
Oh,
The internet's really rubbish. Can you hear me? I can't really hear you. And I can't see you either because I'm obviously presenting. Anna Marie, are you here? Oh, I hope you're coming back. No. what's happening.
Hey, I'm just going to jump in. I'm Jasmine from Wide for Music. I think we've temporarily lost Anna Marie, but we'll still carry on with step 4. So we'll just wait for Anna Marie to get back in.
Okay, awesome. So you can hear me, Jasmine?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay, perfect. Great. Because I thought it was my internet, and because I'm presenting, I don't see anything. So I was like, oh, no, everybody's gone.
No worries.
But it's all good. I'll just start again from step 1 of step 4. So basically, give your audience a name. Make sure it's something memorable that goes with the type of content you're creating. Because then, if you have, for example, similar content for that one thing you're promoting, for example, your new single, then you have the possibility to, for example, say, oh, this is my new song. It's called Missing Out. And this is the first ad that I'm doing on Missing Out. So you call it Missing Out #1 or whatever. So you know that this audience used for the first ad you created. Right, and then you're going to the location of your promotion, so where the people are based that you are promoting your content to. In this case, it's very interesting because there's lots of things to think about. Firstly, in your head, you'll probably be like, oh, I want to promote my music to people living in London because I'm a musician based in London, or I'm a photographer based in London, or whatever. I would suggest to not do that just yet if you are doing your first ad, because doing ads around Europe, the US, Canada, Australia, and New Zealand are quite expensive. So I would start with countries that are cheaper, that have a cheaper click rate. So people, for example, audiences in India, for example, they are much cheaper to market to. So you will see how much you actually paid per the person who clicked on your link in your insights later once you've run the ad. And you will see that the number of people clicking is probably much higher if you market to a country that's more kind of south of the globe rather than in the north and in the westernized areas, which is really interesting. So your first ad, I would really strongly advise you to target India, China, Thailand, Malaysia, all of these countries, because firstly, they have a much higher population. People use their phone down there quite frequently, and it's much cheaper to advertise down there because those people are less likely to actually invest in your business. So that's how it works. And because there are less ads run down there as well by like the massive companies like, I don't know, Nike or whatever, right? It's just cheaper for you as an individual, especially if you're starting out and you don't have a big budget to market your music to those people first. And it's also the best way to test your audience because your audience stays the same and you will probably still have the same results in terms of like who likes your music down there compared to the audience that will like your music up here in the more westernized cultures. So this is a great way to find your audience as well cheaply. Right, so you can type in as many countries as you want, but make sure your actual audience stays like in the green section of that little clock thing that shows you whether your audience is too specific or too broad or just right. I would suggest to have around probably like 200,000 to 2 million people targeted, because that's just a good number of people that you can target. So it's not too broad, but it's also not too specific. The thing is, if it's too broad, it's cheaper, but you're less likely to actually market to the people that are your audience or that you think are your audience. And if it's too specific, it's just going to get very expensive. So you could run an ad saying like, oh, only to people who live in West London. You could do that, but it's going to be very, very expensive because firstly, Instagram has to find all those people and then market directly to them. And also it's a Western country as well. So it's going to be really, really expensive. So yeah, it's all a bit mind-blowing. But for your first ad, just choose like a third world country, as bad as this sounds. Choose a country south of the equator, because it's just much cheaper down there. Right, once you've done that and you've chosen your locations, I would suggest maybe choosing 5 locations for your first ad, just seeing how it works. And especially if you choose a country, you could also just choose one country and that's it. because you can then make your audience smaller and the people you market to more specific, by selecting their age and also their interests as well. So yeah, right. Oh, I've just realized that I didn't actually put a screenshot of how to add interests. But basically, when you click on interests, it opens up. It looks just like locations, and you can type in interests. So here you need to kind of know what other music people might be interested to if they listen to your music, or if they're interested in your photography or whatever you do. In this case, you can think of music that is similar to you. For example, I do pop singer-songwriter music. So I would type in interests, Ed Sheeran, singer-songwriter, pop music, festivals, stuff like that. Use up to 10 different interests. The more interests you add, the more specific your audience will become. So be a bit careful with that. 5 is totally fine too. If you find five interests, that's good enough. You can actually choose artists who are really famous and actually put them on there. But the smaller artists, sadly, most of the time, Instagram or Facebook Ads Manager, whatever you're using, won't find them because they haven't done enough ads and they don't know what their audience actually is. But for example, with Ed Sheeran, because he's signed to a massive label and he's been around for years,
Yeah.
Instagram knows exactly who his audience is, who listens to his music, what his audience is interested in. So it targeted to exactly those people. Yeah, and also make sure everything you choose as interests is kind of related to each other. So you can't go like Ed Sheeran plus diggers, right? Because that's a bit too specific. There's probably not that many people out there where Instagram knows they are into diggers and Ed Sheeran, which is a terrible example. I mean, who would like advertise diggers online? I'm sure there's ads for that, but you know what I mean. Like, just don't choose like very random combinations. Choose more broadly, especially in the music world. Like you can, for example, use Ed Sheeran or Michael Jackson or Madonna or whatever as interests, and that's definitely a good thing if you know what artists sound similar to you. And once you've chosen that, you can then move on to the age and gender of the audience you want to market to. I would, in the beginning for your first ad, keep it rather broad. Just think of like the oldest person that will listen to your music. Your parents excluded, please, because they probably only listen to it because it's you making the music.
Yeah.
They wouldn't actually find your music and be like, "Oh my god, I really like this." Obviously they love it because you've introduced it to them, but they're probably less likely to stumble across it on Spotify because of the artist they listen to or whatever, unless they're really into that kind of stuff. Yeah, so kind of keep it broad-ish, but also know your audience, like know if your audience is likely to be very young, especially because young people on Instagram a lot more. So really think about whether your audience is as young as 13 years old. That's quite young. So unless you do like super poppy stuff, they're probably not gonna really kind of dive into it, right? So yeah, just think about that. And also, I would always suggest just choose male and female as the genders that you are promoting, unless you're a business that sells, I don't know, razors for men and aftershave, right? You know that women probably won't be interested in that, or they might be because they might want to buy it for their partner or whatever. But yeah, just think about your product and who you're marketing to in general. And yeah, at this point, you'll be able to see your audience size, and according to that, you can then adjust. So if your audience is still too broad, you can, for example, change your location to a bit more of a specific one. So for example, if you chose India before, and as a country, it's too big because it's got too many people and your audience is therefore too broad, start targeting like the biggest cities in India, for example, like New Delhi or whatever, and add those ones in before. So your audience kind of shrinks a little bit, and get more of that. And once you've done that, you will get an audience definition, you will get another overview, and then you can move on to the budget and the duration of the ad. So this is kind of like the last step of your promotion. So it's quite easy. You just choose your daily budget and then you choose your duration. in order to then actually launch the ad, you need to add money to your Facebook account. And I would suggest just putting like a certain budget on there per campaign you're doing. So a campaign is obviously more than one promotion. So for example, if you're releasing a new single and you're telling yourself, okay, I've got £100 of budget for this whole single release of the money that I want to spend on actual promotion, then you can do that, and you just add £100 with your credit card onto the Facebook account. And once you've done that, you can actually go to Instagram, run your start your ad, and you can pay for it. Also, what is really helpful, like you can see in the bottom of the screenshot I've added, Instagram is very helpful. Like they've got a lot of blogs that talk about how advertising works, and you can always kind of have a look at their guidelines and helps and useful stuff as well. Yeah. And then for your first ad, I would suggest, like I said before, choose £2 a day, maybe £3 a day, but don't really go over that amount, because in the beginning, you really just want to test the waters, see if your audience is actually the audience that you targeted. For example, if then in your insights, you see that actually the majority of the people that enjoyed the ad and actually clicked on the link or actually came to your profile and actually followed you are a different audience than you expected, then you've not wasted your money on promoting to more people of that audience who are not going to be interested anyway, right? So yeah, that's a good way to test it. And then the duration, I would just put on 5 days, and I would the ad has then to be approved by Instagram, so you have to wait about 24 hours and up to 24 hours usually for them to approve it. And once they've approved it, it's running. So then I would put a time on your phone or something if you are a person that quickly forgets what they've promoted or whatever, and come back to it 2 days later, so 48 hours later, and then look at your insights. Because the moment you start running your campaign, you instantly get your insights. So probably like 3 hours, 5 hours after your promotion started, Instagram will already be able to show you this person is engaged. You've had 3 follows from this so far. 10,000 people have seen your promotion, and so on. So yeah, and then once you stop running your ad, it depends. So if you're seeing the results you want to see after 2 days, that's great. Leave it running, let it run the 5 days, and then look at your analytics, because the longer you let your ad run, the more accurate your analytics will be, especially in terms of like your audience, right?
Yeah.
So you want to just let it run. If you're not happy with your results, which would be, for example, like you can see one of my promotion insights here from an ad I did back in January. This wasn't really what I wanted. Like it wasn't the best result, right? It was interesting because my audience was literally where I thought it would be, like between 18 and 24 was like the highest engagement, and 13 to 17 was great. It was mostly men, which was interesting to me. But I think it was just generally a song I chose for it. It was like the Wellerman remix, a cover of that, where I just did an a cappella cover. So that was really interesting to me. But I didn't get many website taps. I did quite 34 profile visits, which isn't that great. I think I let this ad run for 24 hours. So I stopped it then and just left it. I only spent £3.66. So it wasn't that bad. But yeah, you just want to look at your analytics and see if what you're achieving, what you should be achieving. I would say usually in terms of like your actual reach with like £3 a day or £2 a day, you should reach around at least 5,000 people. And probably, yeah, I don't know, profile visits, I would say around maybe 50, and website taps, if people want to actually watch it, at least 10.
Yeah.
So in this case, I really wasn't satisfied with this, but it always depends, and you'll see what works and what doesn't work. So in the beginning, if this is your first ad, I'd really highly advise you, of course, if you get like, if you get like 100 profile visits for £3 a day, and lots of people actually then follow the link in your bio as well and stream your music, and everything's as you expected it, then please let it run, because that means it's working really, really well. But it's more likely to not be working very well. And just stop it after 2 days, have a look, and then run a similar ad again with the same audience but a different type of content. So I could just have used, for example, this video I did, but used a different part of the song. So for example, I think in this one I just posted like the chorus. So I could then try and see what it would be like if I posted the pre-chorus plus 2 seconds of the chorus, right? And see if people get interested in that. Just look at your analytics, go really deep in them. It's all really easy to understand. I think people generally are not going to struggle understanding, because there's some really good visual ways of like understanding your audience and stuff as well, which I enjoy. And then after you've looked at your insights, you then think about how to structure your next ad, and just look at what's worked and what hasn't, what kind of audience, the specific content you promoted, basically what that audience liked about your content, and how you can maybe cater to that audience's needs more next time, and how you can maybe create some content that's similar to this one but still different, so you can target the same audience, or just make different content and see what audience that resonates with, and if it would be the same audience as with the last post you promoted. And just be clever about it, experiment with it, and keep the budget low if you're starting out, because at the end of the day you don't want to spend a fortune, and you can just learn by doing it, right? And if you have any more questions, please ask them now. And if you don't want to ask them now, you can also always DM me or email me. You can find me really quickly on Instagram. If you want just general help, you can also just hit me up for that as well.
Thank you for that, Lea. That was a very informative presentation. So I hope you all watching at home took what you needed from that. She broke it down like very clear, concise steps. So I will be running my own ad very, very soon, using your tips and your methods. And if anyone has any comments, now is the time to pop it in the YouTube box. Otherwise, we are coming to the end of the webinar. So Lea, I know that your EP is coming out, Youth is coming out. Would you like to tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, I can definitely talk about that. So basically, my EP is being released in singles. So I just released my first single called Midlife Crisis at the end of June. And now my next single is coming out next Thursday, and it's called Missing Out. And I'm really, really excited about it. The EP just generally is like about growing up and like trying to figure out who you are in the world and who you want to be, and your first love and all of that stuff. So I'm really, really excited. Midlife Crisis has had a great response. It's almost on 10,000 streams now. And it's been really, really fun. I've been really enjoying the process of releasing music again after such a weird year.
Yeah, such a weird year. Were you recording music in lockdown? Like, how was that experience for you?
Yeah, I was. I think I panicked shortly, but like after lockdown happened, I was like, oh my God, like what am I supposed to do? Because first I was like, oh, this is only going to be 2 weeks, and then everything's going to go back to normal. And then like 2 months later, nothing had gone back to normal. I was like, great. But yeah, I kind of quickly moved on, because I would play like loads of shows before lockdown, like sometimes 4 shows a week. So then at some point I was just burnt out, and I was like, oh, great. So now I've got all this time to like teach myself production. And I had like loads of writing sessions. I wrote like almost 300 songs over the last 1.5 years, just because that was everything that kind of kept me sane, is to just keep working and writing. And there's so much I wanted to write about anyway, because when you're that busy, you sometimes forget about the fact that you're inspired and you actually want to sit down for 2 hours and just write a song.
Yeah.
I was really lucky, and I recorded most of the EP in lockdown as well, just with Zoom sessions with my producer, which was really fun. But yeah, I'm also glad that things are kind of coming back to normal, and now that I'm recording my second EP, which I'm going to release next year, I can actually go into the studio in person and do all of that. But
absolutely. Absolutely, that sounds so exciting, and I am looking forward to hearing your project.
Thank
Kanal
you.
says, "Thank you, really useful. Let me know if there are any more sessions like this." Yes,
Amazing.
Kanal, make sure to follow us at Wired 4 with a 4 Music LDN on all platforms. We do have a webinar every month. Next month might be slightly different, but we will have okay, there's a next level session next Thursday at 2 p.m. So make sure to yeah, just follow us and keep up to date with everything that we've got going on, because there's always something to take part in, either on YouTube or on the Instagram, that you can watch and get involved in. The fridge. I am literally the fridge.
I
Much
would love
appreciated,
that.
ladies. Thank you for tuning in, Fridge. Great to
Thank you
have you
so
here.
much.
Um, yeah. So yes, also there is a link in the YouTube box, so you can click that and go to our website and stay up to date with all the other sessions that we've got coming up. So, Lea, would you like to just sign off, tell people where to find you and your a little bit about
Yeah,
your upcoming project?
definitely. So you can find me everywhere by just typing in Lea G, so Lea and then G. Really easy to find at the top of Google search as well if you type me in. And you can find me
That's
on YouTube,
great. That's great.
Spotify.
You've been working on your Google, your
Exactly,
SEOs,
my
your Google
SEO.
analytics.
Exactly. I've never actually like actively done it. It just kind of happened because I've had my website for like 5 years, and there's no one else
Okay.
called Lea G, so it's kind of easy. But yeah,
Okay.
it's good. It's good that it's up there now. So if you want to search for my YouTube, it's Lea G as well. Like you can literally find me on every platform by just typing in Lea G. Or if you can't find me by Lea G, just type in Lea G Music and you'll find me. My Instagram handle is at Lea_G_music. I'm releasing my new single Midlife Crisis, Missing Out, on next Thursday. So I'm really excited for that. If you want to kind of keep up to date with what I'm doing, I would really appreciate that. And yeah, thank you so much for the opportunity to teach others what I know, because it's such a great way of me giving back to the industry. And I also think it's so awesome that it's literally just women here today. I fucking love that.
Right?
Yeah,
Come
it's so
on.
great. We need more women in the industry.
Yeah. But I'm sure the viewers found this very informative. I found it very informative, and it's great for you. It's great to have you here to share your knowledge. So thank you so
Yeah,
much
thank
for
you so
your
much for interviewing me.
time.
And let me know if you need
Yeah,
any help with your ads as well. Like, ping me on
I
Instagram.
will. I'll be in your DMs like help.
Oh, please do. I'll be happy to help.
Yeah, thank you all for tuning in. Once again, follow us at Y for Music. You can follow me at Anna Marie DEE, or on Instagram, Anna Marie Descartes. And yes, we'll be back very soon with more webinars for you, more sessions for you. I will see you very soon.
See you very soon, guys. Thanks so much, Anna Marie. Thank you so much
All
for
right.
music.
Bye.